The biggest story in all of politics is what's happening to the Republican Party, and I'm getting zero credit for it. And I should get off, because they're not coming in for little Marco, that I can tell you.
We can't win if we're divided against each other. We can't win if we have to spend 6 months convincing our own to vote for our frontrunner, to vote for our nominee.
If we remain divided, Donald Trump wins. And the more we unite Republicans, the more we're going to beat Donald.
All I'm suggesting is it looks increasingly, if I win Ohio, as though we will have a convention that will come together to pick, I would think, the adult in the room.
Okay, that's all today after last night's debate, of course, right here on Fox. Let's bring in our panel. Jason Riley, columnist with the Wall Street Journal. A.B. Stoddard, associate editor of The Hill and syndicated columnist. Charles Krauthammer. Okay, Jason, fallout?
Well, I think that Ted Cruz had a very good night. I think he landed some body blows. I think bringing up the contributions that Donald Trump had made to Democrats over the decades was very, very effective. I think he was trying to explain to Republican voters that they are on the cusp of nominating someone who lacks really any sort of principles, let alone Republican principles or conservative principles.
You are not alone in that. This is Rush Limbaugh today, post-debate.
I think Ted Cruz was running rings around everybody in terms of awareness of the issues, knowledge of the issues, mastering whatever it was that was discussed. In terms of the old way that we used to consider qualifications for the presidency, the old way in which we used to analyze competence, Ted Cruz hit a grand slam home run last night. But that's not how we make judgments on these things today.
To his point, there is a new way, and Donald Trump has figured out how to ride the wave of anger about Washington effectively, right, A.B.?
Oh, yes. The establishment never understood the anger that he was connecting to and really kind of energizing. Telling people you have really gotten the short end of the stick, and telling them it over and over, different groups, different places, in different ways. The thing about when he has a bad debate is the supporters never care and they're never swayed. But we've seen in 15 contests there are late deciders. So far they've mostly broken to Rubio. What you see with Cruz and Rubio, and then Kasich sort of over on the side, who I thought also had a good night, is they refuse to attack each other. So they're attacking Donald Trump, trying to persuade late breakers and late deciders against Donald Trump, but they know none of them have a path on their own. They have to hang together. So even though they're not talking about it and they're not talking to each other, it's implicit that the only way to stop him is at the convention together.
I tried to point that out in that question early on to Kasich about how Romney essentially was laying out the blueprint. In that Kasich wins Ohio, Rubio wins Florida, Ted Cruz wins where he can win, and then you fight it out in the convention. Kasich obviously trying to play the adult in the room, and that's how he's pitching the post-debate.
Yeah, look, I think he did a good job of that, but it's a rather easy job, and it's not the most courageous, because after all, he stands outside while Rubio and Cruz are hitting very hard at Trump to expose his weaknesses and to try to bring him down. If that doesn't happen, Governor Kasich has absolutely no chance at all. So he's allowing the other to do the dirty work. But it's clear that the strategy has changed. Until Super Tuesday, it would have been we need one guy to emerge, a one-on-one with Trump. It's now mathematically too late. So now they all understand that the only way to do it is everyone stays in the race, the anti-Trump forces. They each have to garner all the votes they can. Ohio has to go to Kasich. Rubio has to win in Florida. And then you deny Trump a majority, gets a plurality, and then you work it out as to who's going to be the nominee. I would suggest that two of them, perhaps Rubio and Cruz, go to Weehawken, New Jersey, and work it out the old-fashioned way.
All right, yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say it's also the way that Rubio and Cruz have had to go after Trump, particularly Rubio, and you sense the uncomfortableness there. This is a guy that would much rather be discussing policy instead of the innuendos and so forth, but the way Trump has changed what is acceptable public discourse in this country is really troubling. You listen to some of what he says and you want to take a shower, Brett, when he's done, and I think that's very unfortunate.
There was a cleanup today, clarification by Donald Trump after this particular question, happened to be my question, last night. Experts have said that when you ask the U.S. military to carry out some of your campaign promises, specifically targeting terrorist families and also the use of interrogation methods more extreme than waterboarding, the military will refuse because they've been trained to turn down and refuse illegal orders. So what would you do as Commander-in-Chief if the U.S. military refused to carry out those orders?
They won't refuse. They're not going to refuse me, believe me. If we want to go stronger, I'd go stronger too. Because, frankly, that's the way I feel.
Well, today, a statement came out saying, I feel very, very strongly about the need to attack and kill those terrorists who attack and kill our people. I know people who died on 9/11. I will never forget those events. I will use every legal power that I have to stop these terrorist enemies. I do, however, understand that the United States is bound by laws and treaties, and I will not order our military or other officials to violate those laws and will seek their advice on such matters. I will not order a military officer to disobey the law. It is clear that, as President, I will be bound by laws just like all Americans, and I will meet those responsibilities. A.B.
Well, there was also another reversal today on H-1B visas. So it was quite a busy day of cleanup. This is the argument that the anti-Trump forces make, that he will not only do the things in his business practices that he says he would never do and American workers should never have to put up with, and that he's not serious enough on policy, but that he'll change his positions. You played two CNN clips, October 6th of 2015 and October 20, 2 weeks apart, two different policies on Afghanistan. And that's the argument they're driving, that he has no core principles. It's not flexibility and evolution and changing your mind as you learn more about a subject, that he'll just switch on a dime. And today he was chastened, obviously, about the need to, as a potential commander-in-chief, respect and obey the law, especially when it comes to the military orders. But this is the core of the argument, that he will change his mind, and the minute he's the nominee, they fear he will become Hillary Clinton with different hair.
But it may not be a winning argument. Flip-flop, contradict yourself, that's an old charge. I think it could ironically help him, because the reason for the anti-Trump forces is that this guy's out of control. He's extreme. He'll order illegal acts to our military, etc. Can't have him in office. I think the retreats he's making on all the fronts perhaps will hurt him on those who want consistency, but it could help him with people who are ordinary, run-of-the-mill Republicans who don't want to have a man out of control in the White House. And it says, well, in the end, perhaps he is flexible even on immigration, and he'll be okay.
All right, it is Friday, and that means we head down to a place called Candidate Casino. And you have $100 in chips. Who's going to get the nomination? Jason.
I am giving $70 to Donald Trump. He's got a significant lead. It's not insurmountable, but it is large. I'm going to give $15 each to Rubio and Cruz. I think mathematically they're still in it, but it's a very tough road that they have ahead of them.
A.B.?
I gave 80 to Trump, like I did last week, and I don't know if Charles is going to raise his draw here, but I'm really going bold on this. And last week I think I had 15 on Rubio. I'm going 5 with each guy and 5 on other, because we just don't know. But other has as good a chance as the 3.
Wow. Okay, Charles.
I think you guys are right on.
Drum roll.
Trump, $80. Oh. Cruz, $10. Rubio, 5. But
can we just talk about the evolution here?
But the Prozac.
Evolution.
But the one, when the facts change, my opinions change.
That's right.
The important explanation is the Prozac. Because my despondency is such right now that Wine, Women, and Song is not going to do it. So I have
Nor
to
was
go.
Wine, Whiskey.
Whiskey is now working either. I have to go to antidepressants. But the good news is I can write the prescription myself.
Okay. Finally, I want to go down the road here. This news in our show that we had confirmation that Secretary Clinton, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, is going to join our Democratic town hall in Detroit. She's agreed to participate alongside Senator Sanders. We'll have a studio audience there in Detroit. I will be moderating that 6 to 7 Monday. It'll repeat 11 p.m. Eastern Time. Jason, what about that?
About
her appearance?
Well, I think it's a smart thing to do. I think you know, she's trying to appeal to, I think, some of these voters that watch Fox News. I think that is part of her strategy, getting into some of these states, Pennsylvania, Ohio, and so forth, the industrial Midwest, voters that she didn't do as well enough with in 2008. So I think she thinks she have an audience that'll be tuning in.
Maybe this has something to do with Michigan.
I think
Michigan's the
that
next
she's
step.
seen internal polling that says that there are anti-trade Bernie supporters who could be Trump supporters in the fall if he's not the nominee, and she decided to join the bandwagon.
Well, we're glad to have her.
Look, she's a weak candidate, but her strong point is debates, town halls. She, I think, has beaten him on those measures a lot in the last few months, so I give him an open field.
It will be interesting Monday.